Hi, everyone. Welcome to Special Presentation with Mike and Ethan. Or,
Alf will not be seen tonight.
well, we are ready to close out the Chuck Gets Cucked trilogy.
Yeah. Oh, it happened again. It happened again.
It happened again. I guess it happened twice this time because, uh, actually, it happens very literally this time because the girl that Charlie Brown, has the biggest chance with, the one who likes him the most. Uh, Snoopy basically, ditched Charlie Brown for her. So,
Yeah, this is an interest. There's some interesting stuff going on here with Peppermint Patty in this special.
yeah. I mean, this is. I don't know any other Peanut specials or even stories where Snoopy goes on a date with a human. So,
Yeah. Well,
well, I
yeah.
guess he
This
doesn't, but
Well, this peanut special was ahead of its time. First interspecies date on network television. Um,
I wonder if this has ever been shown on network television. The copy
oh,
I had
I
as a kid was taped from the Disney Channel.
I was this not like a. It is longer, so it's not like a normal Peanuts special. It's like an hour and a half.
Yes, this is a
So
theatrical. This is the second Peanuts theatrical movie. Snoopy Come Home.
it's amazing to think what went to theaters in those
Yeah.
days, because I don't know, like maybe because I didn't go to the theater much as a kid, or maybe the concept of films has changed, but like it's just funny seeing a lot of the movies made for kids back in the old days that went to theaters. Because you expect garbage on TV, but if it's going to a theater, it's like, well, you're going to make it a little fancier, right? You're going to gussy it up, right? It's like when Disney made that DuckTales movie, they were like, we can't just put television animation in this. We're going to make it like fancy. There's going to be shadows on everything for the first 10 minutes. Then we're just going to do television animation. So
Blew their budget way too early,
yeah.
like that Muppet movie where that was never made. That they were going to have Gonzo blow the entire budget on the opening credits, and then they have to film the whole thing on the same street corner.
Yeah. They so the peanut specials, yeah, they're just this feels like this does not feel like a theatrical movie, because I would expect for a theatrical movie a little bit a little bit more razzmatazz. Um
Like the opening credits.
yes, like that. I mean, I guess that's their attempt at the razzmatazz.
And there's
The
original songs, which doesn't come up in most of the Peanut specials.
That is true. There are original songs, and most of them are not too bad. They're
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty decent songs. Some of them are catchy, even. And I will say the animation did seem more fluid than the television specials we've been
Mm-hmm.
watching. There was almost, I don't know how to describe it. When I was watching it, I felt like I kept wondering, like, did Chuck Jones work on this somehow? There's something about the movement of the characters that looks very Chuck Jones.
That might have something to do with the actual backgrounds where you hear those Chuck Jones horns a lot.
That might, yeah, you do. Yeah, actually, you're right. You're right. They're very heavy on the Chuck Jones horns, so I might just be, uh, what do you call it,
Yeah,
displacing this,
yeah.
assuming
Of
that like the
course, we call them Chuck Jones horns because we see them mostly in Chuck Jones animation that has stood the test of time. But it could be all over '60s movies and TV, so we might just be sort of like, oh yeah, it's playing those Boss Baby horns.
Oh yeah. Well, there is. I did check the credits, and I did not see Chuck Jones's name anywhere. Although
Nope.
the fact that Charlie Brown and Snoopy don't have insane eyebrows in this was probably already the indication that he didn't work on this special.
I
Um,
did notice Phil Roman, who later went on to be the animator for Garfield.
yes, we see him occasionally in these early Peanuts things. So he's really. I guess this is where he cut his teeth. You
Yeah, he
know.
started out as part of Bill Melendez's troupe, and then he kind of went his own sweet way and started Phil Roman. So it's kind of like how Ken Ruby and what's his name, Spears started out at Hanna-Barbera, and once they created Scooby-Doo, that was their ticket to starting their own animation studio, Ruby Spears.
Yeah, yeah. There is. I mean, I feel like if you watch Garfield specials, you can tell that Phil Roman studied at the feet of Bill Melendez.
Yes.
There's a certain je ne sais quoi that carries over, even though I think the Garfield specials improve a little bit on the vibe of Peanuts.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
you
agree.
know,
You know,
um,
have we
but
seen a bad Garfield special? I mean, specifically a bad Garfield television special that isn't like Garfield's Fun Fest.
like I don't think so. Like the Phil Roman ones, the worst one I can think of was probably the Thanksgiving special,
Yeah,
which I
mostly
wouldn't
just because
say.
it was kind of boring.
Yeah, and I mean I think part of that is just as almost everyone who's tried to make a Thanksgiving special has figured out, there's not a lot of there with
Yeah,
Thanksgiving as a holiday.
that's
It's
one of the few where I would say that the Peanuts Thanksgiving special really trumps it.
Yeah, I'd agree. The Peanuts special it feels more like if you were trying to wring some sort of meaning or like reason for the season out of a holiday special, out of a Thanksgiving holiday special. The Peanuts one seems to find one better. Like the idea
Yeah,
that like it's not about like the food, it's about like uh, being together or something, I
yeah, pretty
guess.
much. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the real crux of that one is when Marcy says, "Peppermint Patty, did Charlie Brown invite you over for this, or did you invite yourself?"
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
which is a little bit of like did the Puritans invite the Indians to their gathering, or did they invite themselves to the Indians' gathering?
That's a good point. You might say that Peppermint Patty is actually keeping the spirit of Thanksgiving alive. Um, yeah, the thing is, like Thanksgiving, like the idea that, like, oh, it's not like the baubles or the food; it's the togetherness. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's true, but like that is essentially true of every holiday. The only difference is Thanksgiving doesn't have an extra, like that's true of Christmas, but also it's like, you get
It's
like a
also true of
tree.
Halloween. Have
Yeah,
you ever had Halloween alone? It sucks.
yeah,
Have you ever had
and
Easter
Halloween.
alone? It sucks.
Yeah, and I'm saying those holidays all have a little something else. Like there's like there Halloween obviously. Hey, you can have fun trick or treating. It's spooky. It's great. Christmas, it's like there's Santa Claus. There's a whole legend and stuff. There's all this stuff, and Thanksgiving is just kind of like it's just this.
I mean,
You
it does have
know,
a legend
it
attached,
it
obviously, but
does, but I mean, I've said it before. Thanksgiving sucks. It's a terrible holiday. It's just like it's the holiday where oh God, we have to get together, even though we're gonna just do this again next month. It's literally just a dry run for Christmas. It's like oh, are you and if you it's really unfair to people who have like shitty families. It's like oh great, you're gonna do these two holidays right next to each other. Cool, where you have to like deal with that. Um, but anyway, so the Peanuts Thanksgiving is a little bit better than the Garfield one. But in
yeah,
general, I think the Peanuts specials, as we've said, they often feel kind of empty. You
yeah.
know,
I mean
um,
that we've still and after entering our seventh year, we have still not done a Charlie Brown Christmas, and I don't think that one is particularly empty. That one has a lot going for it,
yeah,
but
that's probably the strongest of the lot. You know, um, and the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown is pretty decent too. But
I think that having it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and Garfield in Disguise back to back is must see TV. So
yes. Now, I think if you're making holiday specials, like Christmas and Halloween are kind of easy mode. It's hard to really fuck those up. So I'm glad that Peanuts at least got those ones right.
yeah.
Thanksgiving, that's a hard one. Easter, that's,
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
no Garfield Easter special.
no,
That's
no.
so. I mean, and it's the Easter Beagle. Charlie Brown is. I mean, you just want to tune in for the name alone.
Yeah.
But
Now, have either of them done a St. Patrick's Day special? Because
no, I don't believe there's been one for either of them, which is surprising because Charlie Brown went as far as Arbor Day. So
Yeah. I feel like, well, maybe we did not trust themselves to make an culturally sensitive St. Patrick's Day special. Maybe, I don't know. I have no clue why they didn't. It feels like they should have, because that I feel like, as you know, in America, as you're going down the tiers of holidays, it's kind of like, obviously Halloween and Christmas are the big ones. Then you get like Thanksgiving and Easter, and under that, like, what's the next biggest holiday? Valentine's Day, probably.
probably, but now we're already. I mean, even as far as Halloween, we're getting into the ones that you don't get the day off for.
That's true.
So
It is a crime that we don't get Halloween off, because
why do we not get Halloween off? I've obviously it's because it has it is a set feast. It's not a movable feast. It always has to be on the 31st. But instead, I think we should make like the last Thursday in October Halloween 2, the sequel. And
Yeah.
you should always get Halloween 2 off.
Yeah, I agree. I think that as a kid, I thought it was criminal that you didn't get Halloween off, because it's clearly a holiday.
Yes.
Ridiculous. And I feel like any politician that gets up there and just says, we're going to make Halloween a holiday, we're going to make it a
Yep.
national holiday, it's like, you just sweep. Come on.
For
It's
real.
so easy. That's how you take Trump
Shut
down.
up.
Just
What if
get up and
Newsom hears you?
Oh, oh my God! You know what? I don't. Gruesome Newsom wouldn't have the cojones to do
No.
that. You know, he would, because he would be like, the idea of like working people having the day off is anathema to him.
Mm-hmm.
It would need like, yeah. But anyway, I'm just saying, someone should fucking do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Waltz, you hear us?
yeah,
Pritzker?
yeah. Get on
AOC?
that. But anyway, like, as you're starting to get down the list, like, I think after Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day is probably the next biggest
Yeah.
one, you know? Um,
After that, we tend to get into things that are just plain seasonal, like summer vacation.
yeah. I mean, I guess 4th of July, I forgot that one. That's
Yeah, 4th
up
of July,
there
that's
too.
a big one, yeah.
Yeah. But after that, like, it's kind of just like, you're getting into like, um,
I'm
yeah,
very amused by the idea of a Peanuts 4th of July special that just takes place from Snoopy's perspective, and he spends the whole thing under the bed.
yeah, it's the apocalypse, Charlie Brown. I guess, like, because after that, you're starting to get into like, I mean, there are no like other national holidays. It's just shit like President's Day, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Martin Luther King Day still a holiday?
Last I checked.
Okay,
But,
well, that's a good
you know,
one.
I don't, I think it depends. No, I don't think it's, yeah, it is still a national holiday for now, but
Yeah.
then again, I mean, if I think it would come across as a little weird that Trump pushed so hard to make Juneteenth a holiday in his last term, and now he would want to take away Martin Luther King Day. But at the same time, it's kind of stupid to assume that this guy has any recollection of what he did yesterday, let alone last term.
Wait, did Trump try and make Juneteenth a holiday?
Yeah, Trump was responsible for Juneteenth.
It's so funny, the thing about Trump, just the fact that he's just like an empty vessel, he just does whatever, and he doesn't give a shit, so it's funny because, like, in his first term, like, he was bad, like, he was just really, awful, but then,
Yeah.
like, afterwards, like, when he got kicked out, a bunch of like racists came to him and were like, hey, do you want to be like the racist president, like super racist? And he's just like, yeah, I'm on board,
Yeah, it's
So
basically
now
exactly what
suddenly,
they did with Perot when he lost the first time.
oh, he became racist too.
Yeah, he used to be really populist, and and honestly, he was looking back at his stuff, is like he comes across as almost a revolutionary now. But in 1996, the Clinton haters came to him, and he pivoted hard right.
See, that's it is. Well, I notice a recurring theme where the
Losers
hard
pivot hard
right,
right.
they start recruiting losers. They find a loser and they recruit that loser, and now they're like, would you like to just be like a real piece of shit? I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of people wouldn't become like huge pieces of shit for money. I mean, I know this is naive, but I do actually think that like a lot of people have, most people have some kind of like moral compass. Like they actually do feel guilty about stuff, like to some degree. But
Yeah,
like
that's
Trump
that's
is
part
literally
of
like,
the selfish gene. You know,
yeah,
we're raised to have that because it benefited us to have it in previous generations.
yeah. But like Trump is just like if you pay him, he'll do anything. Like he has like, he's just a guy who's completely for sale, which is why, now we're in this bizarre situation where like some of the things they're doing it's like, "Oh, well, I get that he's like, uh you know, doing martial law type shit because he likes being in charge. That makes sense." But then it's also where he's doing stuff like, "What if we started just putting salmonella in the chicken?" Like stuff that's just like, wait, who wanted that? And it's like, oh, I get it, because every bad person just came to him and gave him money and said we want to do a bad thing, and they're completely random bad things, but like that's why it's also like, yeah, get rid of vaccines, yeah, put lead back in gasoline, yeah, just
Yeah,
do it, who cares, you
get rid of
know
the vaccine that I myself rushed to market, and
yeah.
I should have actually campaigned on and possibly won because I was the hero that stopped COVID-19. But no.
No, I mean it's this weird thing where like we just have to pretend that all problems are fake, or else if we can't pretend a problem is fake, we have to want a fake solution to it, It's this
Yeah.
weird thing where it's like, oh, global warming is happening, but it's actually because of chemtrails. Or like, and COVID is real, but it's actually because of the vaccine that
You
gives you the
know,
COVID. And the
you
vaccine
know,
also.
to Chud's credit, I have not heard anyone say the word chemtrail since Obama left. They didn't even say it during the Biden years.
Oh, maybe they forgot they started doing the Jewish space laser thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what? Uh, so I hope you enjoy his podcast while it's still legal. But we were
Yeah.
speaking of Snoopy Come Home, which
Yes.
is a theatrical feature. It went to theaters. I would say, I'll say this. I think it was better than a lot of the other things we've watched with Peanuts.
Yeah. I think so
Um,
too. I mean, at first I was not feeling it. I was just like, this is just more of the same. And then it got into a much more emotional groove. And I came to an interesting conclusion about it. And I realized, wait, this is about the death of Snoopy.
oh, well, tell me more.
After Snoopy leaves, all of Charlie Brown's thoughts are the same that you would have after your pet dies. Of
Oh.
going out to the empty doghouse and reflexively opening a can of dog food even when he's not there, and just thinking, I'll never get another pet. I never want to put myself through that again. So this
Mm.
is so even though it has a necessarily happy ending because they could never kill off Snoopy in a movie, this is about how Charlie Brown would feel when the horrible inevitable happens and he loses his pet.
Interesting. That does. Yeah. There's some things in this that kind of work. It feels like.
Especially because the Snoopy has a super long journey to make, and when he gets there, there's this angelic figure in a gown waiting for him.
Oh my God! It's Snoopy's journey through the
Yeah,
to
yeah. Lila
Zabulba.
is a psychopomp.
Who does so who does that so on Snoopy's journey, uh he encounters
What
so
is
what
this
what is
girl's
that
name?
kid? Yeah, I don't does that kid have a name?
Let's see. I forgot to have the Wikipedia open in front of us. It's her. Her name is Clara. Uh,
Okay.
so So
What the,
Clara represents how on your way to death you sometimes meet Elmira from Tiny Toons.
she's basically the Amut, the devourer of this scenario.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, what happens in this special is that Charlie Brown and Snoopy kind of have a falling out because Snoopy is too independent, and Charlie Brown kind of snaps at him. Then he receives a letter from a mysterious person named Lila, which causes Snoopy to go to disappear. He goes on a journey and vanishes, and that makes Charlie Brown sad because
Yeah.
Snoopy is effectively dead.
And Charlie Brown is very sad here. He's not just depressed. Charlie Brown is a lot of negative things, but he's not a crybaby. And when he weeps in this movie, you feel it.
Yeah, that's true. This is the first time we've seen Charlie Brown with a real problem, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also interesting how much Snoopy's absence also affects the other kids because, we see Lucy and Schroeder and Linus and Peppermint Patty also kind of mourning
Yeah.
the loss of Snoopy, which is interesting because generally they would be yelling at Charlie Brown in most of these
Yeah,
specials.
they would, and it's a and also before Snoopy's sudden departure, he had a falling out with just about all of them. He had a fist fight with Lucy, actually a nose fight. He wrestled with Linus for his blanket, and he accidentally stood up Peppermint Patty on the date that they had agreed on because he got kicked off the beach because now there is a sign on the beach that says, say it with me now, no dogs allowed.
This is that famous where that famous line comes from. This is the
Yes.
no dogs allowed source.
Yes. With with the legend himself, Thurl Ravenscroft.
Yes. That is a nice recurring leitmotif throughout this special, the no dogs allowed riff. That's kind of fun, and it kind of holds this whole thing together. It is nice that like we're seeing something that has like themes.
Yeah.
There's foreshadowing and callbacks in this one, so it's like an actual piece of narrative fiction.
Yeah. But like I was saying, every one of Charlie Brown's friends has a reason to be angry at Snoopy when he leaves, but all they can think about is how they could have done it better. How, maybe if I hadn't snapped at Snoopy, he wouldn't have gone away. And again, this is the kind of guilt you go through when, like, say, you have an argument with somebody and then the next day they die in a car accident or something.
Yeah. And yeah, the Peppermint Patty does go on a date with Snoopy, and she calls him Snoopy. She doesn't call him the funny-looking kid with the big nose. So she actually names him in this, and she seems to be aware that he's a dog.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if she's aware that he's a dog, but she doesn't treat him like a dog. Not in the way that the others do.
No.
So.
I mean, she does date him. It's and she does beat herself up for coming on too strong, and believing that like she's scared Snoopy with her her romantic aggressiveness, I guess.
It would have been funny if she was like, "Oh, he was probably scared off by my big nose."
That would be a very Peppermint Patty thing to say.
Yeah.
So
it would be really funny would be if then she fought if Peppermint Patty fought Lucy with a boxing glove on her nose.
Now, Snoopy, as we know, because he can't use public transportation on account of being a dog and no dogs allowed, he has to basically live the hobo lifestyle. He's roughing it across the however far away.
It's at least a 3-day trip. And I have no idea what town, honestly, Charlie Brown lives in a beach town and it snows every year? Where does he live? Newfoundland?
Yeah, you're right. I thought early on that we were going to establish they were in a vacation house or something. Like they were playing Monopoly, and I thought playing a board game, that's the sort of thing you would do at like a beach cabin. But no, it's just his regular house, it appears.
Yeah, and they all seem to live in the same house. He comes back into the house, and all of his friends are there, and they're not even necessarily paying attention to him. It's just like they're his roommates. Linus and Patty, not Peppermint Patty, the other Patty, are seated in a easy chair together reading a book. It really does feel like when like 2 or 3 couples rent a house to go on vacation, but it seems to be there. I mean, obviously it's Charlie Brown's house because Snoopy's doghouse is there.
Yeah. So it's a little, it's, I did know, watching this one made me reflect on how Peanuts is such a interesting thing. It's so its own thing. It's like a closed universe, right?
Yeah.
And to some degree, it reminds me a lot. If you ever watch Ed, Ed and Eddie, you know that show.
I know of it, but Ed, Ed and Eddie, I mean, it all takes place over one summer, right?
Yes, and
Like Gravity Falls.
yes, and the thing about Ed, Ed and Eddie that always struck me was basically you have a core cast, right? About I think it's like 6 or 7 kids, but you never see any other characters. You never see like literally any other characters. It's just this central cast. And Peanuts is kind of the same way. We do see other kids occasionally, right? Of course, we never
Occasionally, yeah.
occasionally
When
we
they go
never
to
see
camp.
adults. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it
And there
really
was a
like
clown in this.
a clown.
Yeah, there's a clown who takes Peppermint Patty's ticket to go through that ride that's just a barrel rolling around.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I
I
forgot
remember
about
looking
that.
at that and being like, is that racist? It looks a little racist, but then maybe clowns are just a little racist.
That's the thing is like what it's Peanuts. Oh, the lights just went out, so I think we just had a blackout. Can you still hear me?
Huh?
I am now recording again. Yes. Okay. So we just had a blackout or brownout or power shortage or whatever you want to call it on my end. So we're reconvening. I don't know how far you got, but I was
All I heard, I heard you say, the thing about that is, and then you cut
okay.
off.
So I was talking about the idea that Peanuts is this closed universe, right? You're only
Yeah.
ever seeing a very small number of people. It's just the central cast, and occasionally we see other kids come in. But like so many, obviously all the adults, we never see them. And we see it very occasionally, like like that clown, or even the porter in Au revoir, Charlie Brown, or the
That's
Baron in
right, yeah.
Silhouette.
Bon voyage,
Right.
yeah.
So when you actually
Omelette du fromage,
yes.
Charlie Brown.
So when you see things, it's always kind of weird seeing them. Like in this one, Snoopy Come Home, there's a bit at the beginning where they're showing the beach, and there's a bunch of like sandpipers just, hanging out on the beach and running away from the
Yeah.
waves. And I just kind of stared at them like, what? Dude, it was so weird seeing just even like background, animals in Peanuts because it's so
Yeah.
rare to see anything that hasn't been like how often do we see like animals? We see like
Yeah.
rarely ever. I mean, all I can think of is that mean cat thing that we see in
Yeah.
a couple.
We rarely see any animals that are not, we rarely even see any dogs that are not
Yeah,
Snoopy.
most of them are his relatives.
Yeah.
We do see a cat in this one, except the way it's drawn,
Yeah.
it looks more like a stuffed animal. So
Yeah, it looks exactly like Farron.
yeah, yeah. So it's always weird when you see something like because you feel like Peanuts is so stylized and so its own thing that even like very small
Yeah.
deviations from the standard formula get noticeable.
Yeah.
And those sandpipers just kind of were like, what? Oh, I guess we get
Yeah.
sandpipers in this one. Um,
Even changes in the camera angle will throw you. I mean, can you imagine seeing Snoopy's doghouse from the front, actually seeing the opening?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it in some very early things. There was a whole story where Snoopy was paralyzed because a giant icicle had formed over his doghouse, which was for purposes of having a giant icicle materialize over it. Now his doghouse was against the side of the house,
okay, sure.
and not out in the yard where it usually is.
Yeah. Oh, I also noticed we did get a brief cameo from the kite-eating tree in this one.
Yeah, real brief. But, during the opening credits where Charlie Brown is minding his own business and Snoopy just kicks him the hell over.
Yeah, I remember because seeing that, I was like, yes, I'm prepared to hate Snoopy again. I'm prepared to hate that fucking asshole Snoopy. But this is a rare one where I actually don't hate Snoopy. I actually...
No, I mean... I think watching those, I realized, oh yeah, I've had it all wrong. You're supposed to identify with Snoopy. Charlie Brown is supposed to be the man. Snoopy is supposed to be like, the kid who gets away with shit.
Yeah. I thought this one was an interesting one because like I said, I generally dislike Snoopy because he's kind of an asshole. I feel like he's ungrateful to Charlie Brown. Uh,
Charlie Brown would agree
yeah,
with you.
this one's a little different because I feel like in this one, we do get like, first of all, Charlie Brown is resentful of Snoopy because Snoopy is too independent. Like Snoopy stays out too late carousing with Peppermint Patty, and Charlie Brown kind of reads him the riot act when he gets home unfairly. This is an unfair, him being unfair to Snoopy. So
Mm-hmm.
that sets up later on when Snoopy disappears. Charlie Brown, of course, is filled with guilt because he believes that he is the one who drove Snoopy away by not making him feel unwanted and making him feel like a pest. But it also,
Yeah, it doesn't help that he was saying I provided everything of yours. I even bought that collar of yours with my own money, and Snoopy just unfastens it and hands it to him.
yeah. So
This comes from the strip, so
I did like, and then Charlie Brown's like, I hate it when he does that, as if this is a recurring thing. So apparently, this is not the
yeah.
first time Charlie Brown has gone on this rant. Well, I think having a but the other thing is so Snoopy's situation is a little sympathetic. I think it's like I kind of understand why he might be feeling a little unappreciated. But the other thing about this that I hadn't realized, because I remembered seeing this when I was a kid, and
Yes.
I did not like Snoopy in this as a kid. I thought Snoopy was a real piece of shit, as I usually do.
Mm-hmm.
Because the basic thing is, so Lila, as it's revealed, is Snoopy's previous owner. So she apparently her family,
She owned Snoopy for like two
yeah, two
months,
months. Her
if
family
that.
adopted Snoopy from the Daisy Hill Puppy Farm for 2 months, but then they moved and decided they didn't want to bring the dog with them, so they brought him back. And then Charlie Brown came and adopted him. And it's been established Charlie Brown has had Snoopy at this point for at least multiple years. So as a
Yes.
kid,
He was supposedly a little kid when he got
yeah,
Snoopy. So Snoopy is, I guess canonically at least three.
at least that seems right. Do we know how old Charlie Brown is canonically?
He often refers to himself as 8.
Okay, so
He seems more like a 10-year-old to me, but I don't know.
yeah, I don't know either. But
I don't remember what it was like being 8 versus being 10. Apart from that, when I was 10, I felt a lot more grown up than when I
oh
was
yeah,
8.
yeah, that's how I felt the same way. Okay, so I think Charlie Brown is. So Charlie Brown has had Snoopy for multiple years, so 3 to 5 years it seems like. And I, as a kid, was like, I can't believe that Snoopy is abandoning Charlie Brown, who's taken care of him for like years, for this girl he knew for like a month. You know, I thought that was, I thought that was really unacceptable. I thought, what an asshole. But like watching this, I actually thought this is kind of interesting. Okay, what's actually going on here? Because um, they say that Snoopy had this real intense connection with this girl, right?
Yeah.
Um, but now she's okay. This whole thing is a little strange because it basically it's Peanuts, so they can't do anything real dark, and they also can't do anything real specific. So it's basically Lila is now in the hospital for reasons that are never explained. But now that she's in the
No,
hospital,
I.
she writes a letter to Snoopy, who apparently she knows his address, you know, and asks him to come visit her. And um,
I guess most people would write to the other owner and ask them to bring the dog to visit them, but
no, she
I guess the Daisy Hill Puppy Farm is not nearly as private about your personal information as your average adoption
no,
agency.
no, they're very happy to disclose all this stuff, because when Charlie Brown is moping, Linus takes it upon himself to actually figure out what the hell is going on, and he calls up the Daisy Hill Puppy Farm, and they tell him the whole story, the whole sordid tale. So we know that Lila was the previous owner. She moved, and before she moved. Now, I feel like everything Lila's behavior in this episode is completely out of pocket. She's putting Snoopy in a very bad situation, and I think it's very unfair of her the way that she does this. Because
Yeah.
first of all,
It really demonstrates that, even though he has been living with Charlie Brown for minimum 3 years, she still considers him her dog.
yeah,
There's a certain amount of possessiveness on her part that feels like an ex who doesn't want their former husband or wife to find anyone
yeah,
new.
yeah. And the thing is, I remember this, but the way it's presented is it does not appear that Snoopy, Snoopy is actually very conflicted here. Like he isn't that it isn't this thing that I had remembered where he's like really happy. He's like excited to abandon Charlie Brown. It actually is. It seems like a very difficult decision. They so that was something I didn't pick up on as a kid, but I appreciate it more as an adult that like he is in this impossible situation. Now it sounds because when I watched this, I realized he wants to go back to Charlie Brown. That is his
Yeah.
actual desire. That's what he actually wants to do. But first of all, this Lila writes to him and like basically does this thing like, "Oh, I'm dying in the hospital. If only you can visit me," which is very manipulative to begin with because it's like,
Yes. Especially because she doesn't seem to be all that sick. You see her like literally get out of bed and just walk to the mailbox with her thing she wrote at the desk in the hospital
some
room.
real
Like
Munchausen
what?
syndrome
I
happening
mean,
here. I think you know.
uh,
You,
I
Yeah,
wonder.
because like, so she's in the hospital, and like the thing is, like Snoopy comes to visit her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm cured now because of your visit," and it's like that's awful suspicious. Also, you've known
Hmm.
Snoopy like for at least 3 to 5 years. You must have known that Snoopy was living with Charlie Brown, and so just out of the blue, you're gonna like do this. You're gonna like, "Oh, come visit me in the hospital. I'm dying. Cough, cough. Oh, if only you could stay with me now." And she's really like if you think about it, it's very manipulative. And especially when like Snoopy is leaving and to go back to Charlie Brown, and she's just like, "Oh, I mean, I guess you have to go back to your old owner, but like, I really wish you'd stay with me, but I guess the choice is yours." And it's like Snoopy is a dog. It is actually not his choice, to be honest. He is not like
Yeah.
a free agent, first of all. But let's put that aside. Let's put that aside because Snoopy is a sentient being, so he should have free agency. But the way she's
Yes.
saying this all is just like, "Oh, I guess you have to go to your old owner, but I wish you'd stay with me." It's like, why are you even bringing this up? You know, you're putting this pressure on him, like you're that you should not put on him. You should just accept the fact that like Snoopy's when Snoopy says I'm going back to my owner, which he's clearly
Which he
doing.
doesn't
Well, he's
because he's a
clearly
dog.
like indicating that he's going to do that, and she's just guilt tripping him. You know, staring out the window at him as he's trying to walk away. It's like, and yeah, he comes back to her, but like it actually I did not pick up on the first time I watched this, but it is very clear to me that Snoopy does not. He as although he may have this connection with her from that 1 month they were together, it's actually very clear to me that he wants to be with Charlie Brown. And
Yeah.
it's actually kind of, I do think that there's some interesting things going on here because it reminded me. Do you remember? Sorry, I'm rambling here, but do you ever read Call of the Wild? Do you remember that book?
I never read Call of the Wild, but I saw the Peanuts special that was based
Okay.
on it.
Well, in Call of the Wild, the basic plot is there's this Saint Bernard named Buck, and he is a pet of the judge, and he gets dog napped and brought up to the Yukon to be put to work as a sled dog. I don't know if this was a common thing that they did in the gold rush or whatever, like kidnapping
I didn't
dogs.
really think of Saint Bernards as sled dogs, but they are the ones that you affix the barrel of whiskey to,
Yes,
right?
that's right. I mean, it seems a little weird to me. I kind of always just assumed that they just kind of bred like huskies and malamutes for this purpose.
Huskies,
I didn't think they went around kidnapping dogs,
Cutles.
especially like a pet dog. Not really, not a pet dog would not really be suited to be a musher. But whatever. It's a book, right? It's a book about a dog.
Well, maybe it has something to do with being kidnapped from a northern state and then sold in a southern state.
Oh well, there's layers in this story, possibly.
Yeah.
Now, anyway, the what happens? Buck the dog in Call of the Wild goes through many adventures, and is owned by various groups of yeah, up in the wild. He's owned by a couple of
Yeah.
swarthy Frenchmen who, and then he's owned by I think like some character called it, I think referred to as a half breed, so I believe it's some sort of Native American. But like, it's an old book. It's
Ooh.
an old book.
Yeah, yeah.
There,
I think it's public domain,
I
isn't it?
believe so. And then he's owned by
Okay.
these three dopes who, like, these three dopey city folk who like think they know what they're doing, but like are completely fucking everything up. And boy, you really hate these three. They're real like pieces of shit. Jack London really hated these people when he wrote them. They get theirs though.
Fucking city boys.
But in the end, he is adopted by a guy. I forget the guy's name. Some trapper who lives up there, right, in the wilderness. And this is. I remember reading the book. It mentions this is the first time the Buck experiences love, the dog, because because it talks about how when he was working for the Frenchman, he was like he was a valuable employee, and when he was owned by the judge originally, it was a stately and dignified friendship. But with this guy, this is a guy where the first time that he experiences like pure love, like, because this guy is like, I guess, just like, he just loves his dog. He just loves dogs, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was just,
Must love dogs.
yeah, and that made me think of like looking at this. It's like Snoopy's friendship with Charlie Brown. It's a stately and dignified friendship, and the relationship he has with his girl is much more. You can see there's a much closer emotional bond here, and I don't think it's actually
Yeah.
that Snoopy doesn't feel the same emotional bond with Charlie Brown. I just realized watching this was like, oh, it's because Charlie Brown is a boy. And because of the chrysalis of masculinity, Snoopy cannot express his true affection for Charlie Brown. He can't do it.
That's very interesting. I remember my brother once saying that even when it came to animals, he found himself more able to connect with male than female. So,
Interesting.
and he was talking about guinea pigs. So things have things changed since he adopted a dog. The first dog that he adopted was female, and when we had to say goodbye to her, last year, it was just probably the worst moment of his life. So, so you can't say there was no connection there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is interesting because like there are definite with higher mammals. I think you do get some definite like sex differences. Just in the way they behave. Because I know that like in my experience, at least, this is anecdotal, but like there's definite differences like female chinchillas, little bitches, male chinchillas, very chill. Female rats,
Hence the name.
yeah, female rats, friendly, very active, very, very curious, very independent. Male rats, very, very, very clingy. They don't move around as much. They're lazier, but they really like sitting on your shoulder. They really like just chilling with you. Cats too. Cats especially. I've noticed like female cats tend to be a little more independent. Male cats, they want more attention. So there's some.
Yeah, I've noticed that myself. We have some new kittens that we are in the process of homing, and we're going to keep two of them. There is a little girl who is the great adventurer who's always out exploring and climbing rocks, and then there is her brother who we call Curious George, despite the fact that he is happiest in your lap.
Yeah, I think it's just there is a general. A thing. There's a general thing with cats that way.
So gender differences aren't nothing, but at the same time, I think you should, your gender, no gender difference is enough that you shouldn't be allowed to, express yourself as the gender you feel you
Yeah,
are.
yeah. I think it's interesting because I was talking to someone, my wife, the other day about this, and I was always like, it's interesting that like in all, I'm gonna say some this is not maybe not kosher PC. I'm gonna say something gender essentialist shit right now. So hold
Ooh.
on to get it's
Oh.
gonna get spicy. But no, I was like, it's funny that with all experiences with cats and rats and chinchillas and rabbits and almost every mammal, ferrets too, in fact, that like, if you notice sex differences between them, it's that like the females are always much more independent and adventurous and active and want to be out there, and the males just want to hang out and be pet and like always want to be around you and like have horrible separation anxiety, and I was like, I feel like that for some reason humans have just decided arbitrarily to like be like, no, we're gonna switch those. So the men have to be adventurous and independent, and the women have to be clingy. But maybe naturally we're the opposite. In fact, like the other mammals, and if you just let people do what they wanted, then we wouldn't be forced into these like social roles, man. But
Hmm.
that's just my opinion. Um,
Makes me think that perhaps there was a time in humanity's history when we were like that, and the ones who could sort of cross the Rubicon and behave in the other way were so valued that it became no. That's how you should be like.
maybe. I think generally we should blame settler colonialism. I feel like that is
Mm-hmm.
probably involved in this whole thing. Seems to be a recurring
Yep.
motif when bad things when we realize that when our society has bad things, it always seems to be tied back to that. Anyway, we're gonna get this podcast canceled by the Trump regime yet. Um, uh, but
But we were just totally un-PC and being all gender binary up in this
oh
place.
yeah, but then I forgot what I
Well,
was talking about because I'm stupid. um, but I'm just saying that I think it's interesting that like Snoopy doesn't, he can't express the same unfiltered emotion toward Charlie Brown that he does towards Lila. And because we see them like hugging, and I don't think we really see that with Charlie. We have seen Snoopy and Charlie Brown hug in other specials, but I don't think we see it
yeah,
in this one. Even though this is the saddest we've ever seen Charlie Brown without Snoopy.
yeah.
Um,
If it had been just Charlie Brown to welcome Snoopy back, then he probably would have hugged him. But instead, the whole crowd is there, and they hoist Snoopy up on their shoulders like a Viking funeral.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I mean, the thing is, as soon as Snoopy comes back, he has to start putting on airs. He has to type up these
yeah,
things and demand all his property back because when he left, also tying him to the theme of Snoopy being dead, he wrote like a last will and testament and bequeathed all his earthly possessions to his friends.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So he demands them
So
back. But like I saw that as like, oh Snoopy, you can't somehow you can't be you can't allow yourself to be emotionally vulnerable. So you have to start immediately putting up this like facade of like being too cool for school as soon as you get back. But I guess everyone's happy you're back. They know your true feelings.
yeah.
But
So yeah, that's interesting to look at Snoopy as somebody who does performative toxic
yeah,
masculinity, but and then you look at the one person that he's really close to more than Charlie Brown or anyone, and that's Woodstock. And Woodstock, he sleeps in the same bed. They embrace when they get together. They're basically married.
that's true. Well, that's why it would never work out with Snoopy and Peppermint Patty.
Yeah,
Um,
she's not a
No,
bird.
she's not a bird. This actually is kind of. I mean, again, this is an interesting one because in Peppermint Patty, generally in the Peanuts canon, has a crush on Charlie Brown.
Yes.
And
Strangely, Marcy does not appear in this, as far as I can
she does
tell.
no. We get no Marcy in this one at all.
I don't think she's even at the goodbye
Nope.
party.
We get Pigpen, we get Franklin, we get Frida and the other Patty, but we don't get any Marcy.
Yeah.
We don't.
You know, what's interesting is I looked up the year that the story in the comic that this is based on happened. And Snoopy getting the letter from Lila and running away is basically the very next thing that happened after Franklin was introduced.
Oh,
So, and I think that meant Peanuts got dropped in some southern states. So some southern people might have been coming to see this movie and being like, "Who's Lila?"
oh. Can you imagine? You know what? That's true because here's the thing about Southerners. I'm gonna do a no growth here. They're dumb. They're a bunch of dumb hillbillies. I'm not afraid to say it. And they probably see, as a smart Californian, I watched this and I was like, oh, okay, well, I know who Lila is because this special just introduced her to me. I don't need any prior knowledge coming in because I can learn. I have object permanence. But a Southerner probably saw this and were just screaming like some sort of howler monkey in fear and confusion because they were like, I don't know what's going on. Why are there moving pictures?
Okay, well, I mean, at least I assumed they could read.
Probably not. I mean, come on, the South. Oh, anyway, I'm just gonna keep slagging the South until Atomic Fatty Mutant listens to this and she's like, hey.
Yeah.
I mostly slagging the South because I want her to go, hey. One of these. I kid. There's some very nice Southerners. I'm sure. There's some. Yeah.
Some of the best people I know are Southern. Some of my favorite people in the world, that I never got to meet. Jim Henson is from Mississippi. Yeah. Mississippi.
I couldn't be anti-Southern. Some of my best friends are Southerners. I mean, it's great. Of course, you have to talk slowly around them, but that's fine. It's fine. It's not their fault.
It's called a drawl.
It's not their fault. They don't have as many chromosomes as those of us, in the normal parts of the country.
Ooh, ouch.
It's because of all the inbreeding, I'm just saying, all the inbreeding they do down there.
It's not inbreeding. They're lizards.
Well, they fuck those too, anyway, the South. Wonderful bunch of lads. I kid. Anyway, back to Snoopy. I love doing a podcast. It's not like people are going to send us letters. What are they going to do?
They'll comment on our shit. Who bought Anchor? I forget now.
Spotify.
They'll comment on our Spotify, and there's one person who comments on our Spotify. Hi, one person who comments on our Spotify. Yeah. We love you.
Thank you, Griffineer. Okay, so but we were speaking of so Snoopy, he comes back. He's everyone's happy he's back. There are a couple other things that happen in this that we didn't mention, though, because while Snoopy is living the hobo lifestyle, which I like these bits, even though they're just kind of filler scenes, because we get this nice kind of hobo music,
Yeah. Snoopy even plays the Jews
harp. The soundtrack to Snoopy's hobo journey is very appropriate and kind of just made me feel I feel like I'm in the Rocky Mountains with John Denver and the Muppets. It's good fun.
Yeah.
So that's nice. I like that. I appreciated that. And even though, this is kind of in some ways a typical Peanuts special in the sense that, how a Peanuts special is usually about 20 minutes long, but only has 5 minutes of content. This one is about an hour and a half long. It has about 40 minutes of content. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's some filler with this, but it's not too bad. It's better than some of the filler we get in other Peanuts stuff. It's at least...
Let's see. Filler scenes. Snoopy boxing with Lucy. Right. Snoopy having a blanket fight with Linus. Snoopy and Woodstock's interminable journey across the USA to Lila. Yep. Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown's date at the carnival.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't really tie into anything except that, I guess now that Snoopy is out of the picture, Peppermint Patty is trying to settle for Charlie Brown.
Yeah. And they have that really interesting discussion where Peppermint Patty asks Charlie Brown what love is. And he tells this whole story about, some relative of his, and how when he and the woman who would later became his wife would go out, he'd help her into the car first, and then she'd lock him out and just stand there blinking innocently as he struggled. And he's like, "That's love." It's like, that tells you a lot about Charlie Brown, honestly.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think he says it's his father who told him this story, in fact.
Hmm. And and this is the first time that he's brightened up on their whole date. She's been dragging him on these rides, and he's been miserable. But when he tells the story, he really brightens up, and he's got this absolutely delighted look on his face as he recounts the story. And Peppermint Patty is just looking at him like he's got three heads.
I mean, I think one of the things about Charlie Brown that that doesn't come out very much, but like but when it does, it's very obvious is that Charlie Brown, for all his depression and his pessimism and everything, he does believe in love very strongly. Like
Yeah.
that is an
He wants it so much, but I think his definition of love is so skewed that maybe he doesn't recognize it when he has it. Maybe but then again, it looks like Snoopy didn't recognize it when he had it
I mean,
either.
so many of us don't recognize it when we have it. I
Yeah,
think it's such a nebulous concept. And I think that especially there's you kind of young love is such a thing.
yeah,
It's a once in a lifetime thing that you have, or maybe if you're lucky
yeah.
twice. Some people have it more often, but
You don't get it again
no.
because I mean, once you don't get it again unless you have it before you broke the other
Yes.
one, and that's a real
Yeah,
problem.
it's a thing that you get it, and then I think it comes once, and you spend the rest of your life kind of like judging love by that standard, and so many
Yeah,
people, I think, because everything will fall short of that because you're not like
yeah.
you're not drunk on hormones for the entirety of your relationship, only the beginning part. And so a lot of people, they have.
They say that They say that in your first relationship, you're not in love with the other person. You're in love with love
Yeah,
itself.
yeah. I mean, it's a heady thing. And I think that, like, very often we kind of just assume that, like, well, I don't have love anymore because I don't have that feeling anymore. And it kind of makes you blind to what you might actually have. Or
For
it's
real.
very hard to judge it. And I think, like, Charlie Brown, like, yeah, I think he has this very specific idea, which is very tied up with, like, the little redheaded girl that he's infatuated with. And he can't really see,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know with Peppermint Patty. Like, I don't think he actually even like catches on that Peppermint Patty is interested in him. To be honest,
Freak. Yeah, he doesn't. I mean, there have been. I don't think she has ever kissed him. Marcy has,
yes,
and he was just so stunned that his hat flew 6 feet off his head and stayed there. But
yeah, I remember that. And then Snoopy came up and was like, "How does he do that?" Which I do think is one of the funniest punchlines I've ever seen in a Peanuts strip.
yeah, especially because it follows Marcy's heartbreaking confession. I know you could never love a girl with glasses. It's like, what a horrible thing to think about yourself, Marcy.
I mean, that is very Peanuts, though. It's all
Yeah, a very 60s thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's similar to Peppermint Patty's like conviction that no one could love her because of her big nose.
Yeah, everyone thinks that they have something wrong with them that is, that it makes them ineligible for the love that everyone else
Yeah.
gets. This is kind of like what Pablo, what's his name, was saying in Fantastic Four about how there's been something wrong with him all his
Yeah,
life.
I mean, again, this is such a Peanuts thing, and why Peanuts is such a singular thing in American culture. It's just
Yeah,
it's unusual to be like just yeah, for something so it's all about like people. It's all it's weird that it's a comic strip and it's all about people like unable to come to terms with things. Like it feels like it should be like some sort of piece of literary fiction for like MFAs or something, not like in a children's comic strip. um
male fat admirers.
Masters of Fine Arts.
Oh,
like the smart people. But
oh,
do they? I think like
oh.
usually it's assumed FAs are male. That's kind of sexist if you think about it,
Yeah.
because they always have like there's FAs and there's FFAs, which would be female fat admirers.
Oh, Future Farmers of
Yeah, yeah.
America. Right,
Now
right.
I think about it, it's very sexist to assume that like why it should be MFA and FFA, except that like why we use those terms, because like that's weird. We're not Ferengi. We shouldn't call them male and female. This is stupid.
Well,
Why
not.
everyone should just be an FA? Because I think
Yeah.
everyone can admire fat, regardless of what your gender is. Because it gets confusing
Yeah.
otherwise. You're gonna have there's going to be MFAs and FFAs, and then you're going to NFAs for non-binaries,
Yeah.
and probably like AFAs for agender FAs. And at a certain point, you're wondering, it's like, why do we need to know the gender of a person who likes
Yeah.
fat? We don't need it, man. Just be, just
Yeah.
be. You,
I'm sick of the phrase "mpreg."
Oh, well, that makes more sense though, because you want to establish like it's a guy who's pregnant, right? Because I
Yes,
mean,
but it doesn't. But they never use it to apply to when it actually happens. When it's right now it's only trans men who can get pregnant, but that may change. We don't
mhm.
know. So I mean, we all we wrote about walking on the moon for generations before we did it.
Oh, wait, are you
So
saying that, like, because in real life, when a trans man is pregnant, they don't call it mpreg? Oh,
right,
yeah, that's
right.
a good point. Well, here's a question, because mpreg, I assume, is just a term in the kink community for it, right? Like, I don't think doctors would use
Yes,
it. Like,
but the kink community doesn't call it mpreg when it's a trans
oh,
guy
they
either.
don't? Oh, do
No.
they have a name for that?
Yeah, not really. Mpreg is like specifically cis guy, I
Huh.
guess.
I mean, I
But
I get that. I mean, I get that it's probably because. Well, wait a second. Here's my question. Have there been any instances of a trans man being pregnant in the prego kink community? Like, I mean, not like in real life, but I mean like in a story or a drawing or some piece of pornography produced for this fetish, is what I'm saying. Has there been?
Mike, when was the last time you went on AO3?
I don't go on AO3, so I'm legitimately asking this question. So, is it a common thing, or has it happened at all? Hmm?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah,
So there is a
but
okay.
I mean, but it's one of those things where you can never really tell because they don't actually stamp it as Mpreg unless they say TMpreg.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well, I did not know this. I had assumed that there was probably not that much trans man prego kink stuff. I don't know why I assumed that, but I stand corrected. Um, huh.
My attitude is basically the dog with the frisbee in the meme. Please Preg. Nope. Please Preg. No gender. Only Preg.
I mean, that's good. Then whatever you get, you're happy with it. I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah.
I get if you're doing it for like a kink scene, I get why people label it, because nobody's genitals are woke. You like what you like, and
Yeah, kinks are very much rooted in
yes.
motifs, and
And I'm sure there's some people who are like, I can only get off if it's a trans man who's pregnant, and other people who are probably like, I can only get off if it's a cis man who's pregnant, and whatever. I mean, yeah, it's
yeah, I mean, I know how it is because I'm just like, I can't get off if it turns out that the character was not pregnant; they were faking it. It's like,
oh really?
boo.
So then it's just like, nope, no good, no good at all.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, you. It's like you
I
failed
bet you
me.
really hated Glee.
I don't. Was there a fake pregnancy in
Yeah, there was
Glee?
like a fake pregnancy, but the audience knew from the beginning it was a fake pregnancy. It was just the characters in the
Oh,
show didn't, uh,
oh,
except the
okay.
woman who was faking the pregnancy.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's fine. That's different. No, I'm thinking like Sister Claire.
Oh my God! Wow, that's a deep cut. Wait, so
Yeah.
Sister Claire was not pregnant?
Yeah, it turned. Yeah, they. I guess she intended for her to be pregnant early on, and then she rewrote it so she's like, no, I just lied. You weren't pregnant the whole time.
I thought that was the whole point of the strip, was that she was like pregnant with the. Yeah,
Exactly.
wasn't she like pregnant with the Antichrist or something? I thought that was the whole gimmick.
Yeah, and then it just went in a totally different direction, and they abandoned that plot point entirely.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, these '90s webcomics.
Yeah.
I'm just I can't I yeah wow. Sister Claire is like such a fucking deep cut though. I didn't. I guess I was out of the loop.
Yeah, and now you know why, because everyone abandoned it because it dropped its entire plot contrivance.
Well, see, I don't know why you would do such a thing. That seems very odd to me. That's very strange. Huh. Um, well. Anyway, kids. Now you know the deep lore.
Yeah.
Um,
Snoopy Come Home.
Snoopy Come Home. Well, this is why you listen to this podcast, to be educated, to learn from your
Yep.
elders.
Get some edge
Action.
Learn me a
It's
book.
it's edutainment and infotainment together. We're gonna combine them here. Okay, that's so funny that's interesting. So it has to be wait a second. So in Sister Claire, they retconned it so the nun was just not pregnant at all. Sister Claire herself was not pregnant, and I assume she just had she was just then normal. I mean, not like.
Yeah, she never actually, appeared to be pregnant as far as I can tell. They were just, really stringing you along with it. And eventually she was like, shouldn't I be showing by now? But
oh, that is so cheap. That's real cheap. That's like in one of those animes where they're like they eat a lot and they don't there's no stomach.
And then they don't.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like you guys don't even know the fetish market you're appealing to. I don't man, yeah, well I would if I were into pregnancy, which wait a second. Oh, I am. I'd be pretty pissed about that. I mean, I wouldn't care whether it was fake. I would just be mad that nothing's showing. Because
exactly.
I'm just saying. I think that God, people don't know how to do fetish comics. They're so bad at it. Someone should.
Well, I mean, it may be that she wrote it out because people were treating it like a fetish comic, and I guess I understand.
I thought it actually was a fetish comic.
No, it's something much weirder. No. It's part of the. It's more of a unicorn jelly kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the thing. That is one of the beautiful things about 90s webcomics. You just get these insane sprawling epics,
It wasn't in the 90s either. It was 2010 or
Is
so.
it that recent? I guess it. Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because I remember she actually lost a lot of fans because she had some angry reaction to an Adventure Time episode.
Oh boy, that's the internet for you.
Yep. It was very much the Tumblr.
Yeah,
generation.
that was the thing. Okay. Well, I'm you know what? I'm gonna ask a dumb question here, and maybe we don't know the answer.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter what the answer is, but I'm still gonna ask it because I'm an asshole. Do we know is the creator of Sister Claire trans?
Oh no, she appears to be Well, actually, no. Yeah, she is. No, when she started, she was a cis woman, and then I believe she announced herself as non-binary along the way. So I guess you would say yes.
Interesting.
But,
I was just wondering because it suddenly dawned on me, oh yeah, every time that I've read a webcomic that just becomes an insane, sprawling labyrinth of horror vacui kind of existentialism and postmodernism, and just none of this makes any sense to me because of my tiny brain. It's unicorn jelly or Dresden Kodak, or it's oh yeah, this is the domain of trans women. So I was kind of just assumed wait a minute, I wonder if Sister Claire is also. I need a third to make a comic to make this coincidence turn to a theory, but that's close enough. Non-binary works.
So that explains why you look at Sinfest as the product of a so-called rotten egg.
Yes. Sinfest that is another reason that Sinfest is it's it's kind of a stillbirth going on here with Sinfest. It does include a lot of the same insanity that you would expect from one of these strips, and there's a lot of other stuff going on. Watch our Sinfest episode. Anyway, I'm just babbling now because I'm just daring people to get mad at us.
And And we're gonna get a lot of people listening because every time we do a Snoopy episode, it's really
Really?
popular. So many people love It's Flash Beagle and It's the Easter Beagle.
Wow, people really like Snoopy, I guess, for some reason.
Yeah,
I guess like
everybody's like that. Everybody's like that vacant lot sketch with the where it's Lenny and George, but it's the present day, and Lenny has just accidentally crushed the guy in the Snoopy costume at Ice Capades.
I guess I guess after watching this special, I mean, I like Snoopy more than I have after watching most of the other ones because I feel like he's not as much of a shit as usual. His motivations seem kind of he seems to have actual motivations other than being a jerk to Charlie Brown, and he
Yeah,
does actually seem to have some feelings for Charlie Brown, which um, he seems to have difficulty expressing them, which makes me see his whole the whole relationship in a new light. Um, Though again, we also do get in this one, Charlie Brown retells a story about how he got Snoopy and that whole story with the
yeah,
sand over the head, which again I'm 100% convinced is a real thing that happened to Charles Schultz.
yeah. It must
It's
have.
so specific because that's the thing about Peanuts. Peanuts is kind of generic. Like they never really give you too much information about anything. Um, like you don't really need that much information because if you think about it, like most characters in fiction, we don't get a lot of backstory. Like it's a very recent thing
No,
that we need all the lore, but you know,
you don't. We don't. It's only because there are so many Peanut stories that we know things like how Charlie Brown's grandfather was named Silas and how he fought in World War
yes.
II.
So it's like we don't get a whole lot of backstory, but like this story we get, and it's so specific. It feels like something that must have happened, and I think even like little
Yeah,
things in the story, like when Charlie Brown says how he doesn't really remember who the kids were he was playing with, like that feels like something that's drawn from real life. It's too, it's if you were lying, like if you're making this up, you would make up more details. But the fact that the memory is
right.
fuzzy is way too true to life. Also, the way that Charlie Brown says it's a little embarrassing to talk about this because it's interesting
Yeah,
because it doesn't seem like he understands exactly what happened or why he should be embarrassed, but yet he still is. And most times Charlie Brown has much more theatrical reactions to stuff. Like in the beginning of the special, he throws a rock into the water, and Linus kind of berates him, and he's all like, "Good grief, everything makes me feel like shit." But then when he talks about this experience, he's just like very subdued. He's like, "Yeah, it's a little embarrassing," and I really feel like that is just taken from Schultz's life. That is his actual reaction to this thing that happened to him. But
I wonder if that was how he got his actual dog Spike, the one that Snoopy was
I
based
mean,
on.
I would not be surprised. I feel like that is probably true to life, and that's what happened. And that's what you do when you're an artist. You draw on your inner pain, and you make art with it.
Absolutely. I mean, because just as every member of The Simpsons is named after a member of the Groening household, except for Bart, and just as John Arbuckle grew up on a farm and then moved to the city to become a cartoonist, just like Jim Davis. Draw from your own experiences because that is the thing that Grok can never do for
Yes.
you.
I mean, that is the thing about great art is that, well, the difference between good art and bad art, I think. I mean, there's many differences. And of course, it's very subjective.
When they say great artists
Yes.
steal, it doesn't mean from other artists. It means from your own
Yeah.
life.
Well, that's the thing is like, I think because when I'm talking about good art, I'm like, good art is true. It's honest. And it's hard to say. It's one of those things where you know it when you see it. And what I'm saying is like, it doesn't have to be true, but the story it tells has to be honest. Like things like, because even like really like, oh, like you can like one of the things that I always think about is when you watch like Christian films, right?
Hmm.
And like because there's that movie Firestarter or Fire Safe or Firewall where Kirk Cameron plays a fireman who has marital difficulties,
Oh,
right?
okay. I was like, Firestarter or Firewall? Those are two very different
Oh yeah,
movies.
I forget the name
But
of this one. He's a fireman in it, so maybe maybe it's called Fireman. It's called Fireman Sam. No, but Kirk Cameron. It's one of those movies. It's about Jesus. It's trying to get you to be it's a Jesus movie. It's a Christian movie, right? But like in the movie, he has marital issues, and the marital problem that they have is that he wants to buy a boat, and he's looking at pictures of this boat he wants too much on the internet, and it's like, okay, look, because this movie it can't be honest about, it's trying to talk about internet porn, right? But it can't talk about porn because they're Christians, and they're like, oh, we can't talk about like sex. Whoa, no. So they have to make up this thing. They have to make up this thing that nobody does, right? And in the same way in the
yeah.
Christian films, they can't like actually be like, oh, why do some people not believe in Jesus? There are many reasons, but they can't actually address those, so they just have to make up the reason. It's because these people are mad at God. So, and you watch these films and you're just like, these are not honest depictions. These are lies. And you see that in there's a lot of their books or movies where for whatever reason the creators will, either they're like afraid to be too raw, or they're afraid of audience reaction, or they're just not really thinking, or for whatever reason they do stuff that feels dishonest. And when you see it, and that's bad art. And it's hard to say because like certain things, like something like Star Wars, that's an honest movie. You watch it and you're like, yeah, that feels like it could be real. That could happen. I mean, it's not even stuff that like could happen. It's just, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm very stupid.
One of the things that makes Star Wars feel honest is the fact that the characters do so little acting. Like, I mean, when this is a pretty well-known story that when Mark Hamill has the shot where when he comes back to his aunt and uncle's ruined home, and he literally sees their charred bodies lying outside, and and it just holds on him, making absolutely no expression. And Mark Hamill's like, well, I mean, shouldn't I be reacting to this? And Lucas said something like, no, we want the audience to project their feelings onto your face.
That's incredibly sharp for Lucas.
Yeah. What happened to him,
Yeah,
man?
for real. But yeah, that is the thing. Is like it's there's a certain there is a certain je ne sais quoi, and I think that Peanuts, if nothing else, it is a very honest story. Like everything about it is very much like, yeah, I this is human. This is raw humanity. It's very often like unpleasant to witness, but boring. But it's raw. It's real. I gotta give Schultz that.
You can't say that Charles Schultz didn't put his whole soul on the paper.
I mean, it's like,
And then when he ran out, he died.
I mean, it is a thing where like again, I blow hot and cold in Peanuts. A lot of times I get mad at it. I feel like it's boring, or I really hate Snoopy, or Charlie Brown annoys me. But I get why it resonates with people. I get why this thing like really speaks to people. There's nothing like it. It's just,
Maybe we'll never see anything that flips your attitude completely on Peanuts in the same way that, seeing Transformers the movie for the first time convinced you that there was something more to it than just commercials for toys. But, I mean, but there is, 50 years worth of Peanut strips to be looking at. And, it's only because the theme of our show is adaptions of the strips and not the strips themselves that we haven't really dug into that.
I mean, we still haven't, have we done It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown? I can't remember.
Yeah, we did. That was, we did that pretty early on. That was a great episode. That was the one where you told your story about kicking down the shed.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was, that's so funny. I just told that story recently at a family gathering.
It is. It really feels like such a formative moment somehow.
I mean, I feel like it's just, I feel like it's just it's one of those things where like when I was younger, I thought I was very smart. I thought I was a real smarty pants, and I always think of this story and I just realize like, oh no, it turns out I was a dummy all along. Oh no, I was wrong. But
It's a sort of, is there a memento mori for remember you're
yeah, there
stupid?
should be. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's a very freeing thing to realize you're actually dumb. So I'm not complaining.
I mean, it's, when I realized what Bill and Ted were talking about when they said, true wisdom lies in knowing that you know nothing. And they're like, hey, that's
That's
us.
right.
It's like, yeah, that's all of us.
That's why their philosophy saved the future.
Yeah. Hopefully there's still
Yeah.
time.
Well, anyway, is there anything else about Snoopy Come Home that we should say?
Uh, do you remember which scene it was where the background music sounded just like the really long, kind of interminable bridge from MacArthur Park?
No, actually, I missed that.
It was in here somewhere. Maybe it was during the boxing match. I
Wow.
forget.
Well, I guess no, not all the music can be bangers in this one. There's some nice songs. I like the shitty little Elmira girl song about like friends being friends with Snoopy.
Fundamental friend
Yeah, I mean that
dependability.
was kind of
Yeah,
catchy, but like some of them are just kind of like, mm.
yeah. What did you feel about the two of us song, the buddies song?
Yeah, that was decent. I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's okay, but I was like, "Oh, this should be our new theme song." It's like, we'll just run into the same troubles
Well, I
last
don't know.
time.
Is Charles Schultz like out there actively like you know uh monitoring?
Somebody must own this movie. I don't think it's public
Well,
domain.
like the question isn't like whether it's legal. The question is whether they're not whether we can do it. The question is whether someone's going to stop us.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, maybe.
Okay. Well, I'll see if I can dig up the song and see who owns the rights, and maybe we'll see what. Maybe we'll see if we can, get away with it for a couple of episodes before Spotify dings
Yeah, that's
us.
right. It's like a song about
Because
being.
because what's important is that we don't have to keep asking Spotify not to ding us
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, that's the most important thing. Anyway, I like this idea of having a song about how we're buddies because you know what? That's what we
Yeah.
are. We're good buddies.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Real buddy
Yeah,
pal
that's right.
type. See, yeah.
That's right, man. You can't get rid of me. All right. Actually, I guess we should.
Yeah. And I know that if I had to, if you had to leave me behind one day, that I'd come skipping down the lane with my supper dish on my head after
Yeah.
all.
Well, I was gonna leave you for a new friend, but it turned out that no dogs are allowed in the apartment. So.
And they have a cat.
Oh,
Horror.
oh. Couldn't be me.